YouTube? What's going on? We're back with some more of the First Descendant. We got Viessa out, my First Descendant in the Legion's laboratory, rocking her Absolute Zero build. Viessa is honestly a destroyer now. These updates that they gave her are worthy of Viessa. Again, as my First Descendant, I'm biased to it, but I'm so glad that they gave her the buffs that she deserves. She wrecks end game content now, and she's super fun to use. So I hope you guys give her a try. Everything's timestamped in there, full build, showcase run, all that good stuff. So you appreciate the content. You guys are liking the videos. Please feel free to turn on notifications, sub to the channel, drop a like. Alright, this is my Viessa Absolute Zero build. Viessa is so good right now. They buffed the shit out of her, and her abilities are just insane. The burst AoE damage, you know, applying the frostbite is insane. The ice spheres are you know, fantastic. So if you haven't run Viessa, I highly recommend running her. Right now I haven't moved off of her in a minute, just because I'm going to re-go through all of her builds and just really enjoy it, because she is my First Descendant, and I'm glad that they gave her the buffs that she deserves. So for the Reactor, we run this with the Frozen Singularity. Again, Absolute Zero converts all of her skills to singular. That's why we run it with this Reactor, and we got this rolling with the skill critical hit damage, skill critical hit rate attributes. External components, run this with the 4-piece Slayer set. take advantage of the 26.1% base skill power boost ratio increase. The 4-piece set does run with a skill cost increase, so it's important to make sure that you're balanced out on that. If you're not aware of that, you're wondering why you're running out of mana, it's because you get an increased skill cost running the Slayer set, so that's the only downside to it, but the power boost ratio is what we're after. When it comes to the cores, I run this with the max HP and defense on all four of my my external components. When it comes to the again the attributes, we want the anything with match increased HP, defense, some elemental resistances are all good things that you want to have. Max MP recovery in combat, that's like my favorite combo when it comes to the sensor. Again, we got electric resistance and defense, and again, sorry, with the auxiliary, we got the fire resistance, max HP, electric resistance, defense, right? We're covering covering elemental resistances. And again, max shield recovery modifier. So again, we're just able to, increase our shield recovery, get some max shield in there as well for the survivability. But that's kind of what you want to run with your cores. Anything with, MP recovery modifiers, MP recovery in combat, shield recovery, HP recovery. These are all things you want, coupled with some, resistances. All very nice things to have. As you can see, we're running this. We're running it very light. Viessa honestly is destroying. I'm a survivability nut. I moved away from that just because she's so good. She's eliminating the enemies so very fast, and with our our weapon that we have to move around with, we're very quick. So this is actually very cushy. You're getting well, as you can see, this will be a Legion's laboratory run, and we just absolutely smoke it. So we just really spec'd heavily into damage with this build, and just kind of threw survivability out the window. But we'll go over options as we go through it. As you can see, we're just running just around 8,500 health, about 1,500 shields, almost 40k in defense. Nothing too crazy there. Arche Tuning path, again running this with the steady hands. For the increased skill damage, again using a slow type skill, reflected with frost rate increases skill critical damage. So this is happening all the time, and we're just getting the extra crit damage to be able to apply, which is nice because we're critting. We have an extremely high crit rate, which I'll go over too. So again, I've built into the skill critical damage. Cooldown is king, capstoning the enhanced skill power, and just running into some again reduced cost to offset the external component that I just went over, and range is king too. Viessa doesn't have a lot of range on her skill, so having increased range is a good thing. So expands out your blizzard, your AoE damages are just spreading out more, hitting more enemies. Viessa does I feel like the range helps her quite a bit. That's my Arche path. And again, if you just go to the info when it comes to our skill critical hit rate, so as you can see, we're almost at 100% there, and again we're at almost 650% is crazy. So almost capped it completely out on the rate. We're doing really well on the damage as well, and then we spec'd into just raw base skill power as well. So really nice, really just powerful build. Inversion Reinforcement. Again, everything towards cooldown. Again, I like my my emergency antibody just for elemental resistances. We run this with the selective neurostimulation just because we're getting every 45 seconds we're getting a set chance at recovering a certain amount of MP, which is fantastic. It works really nice, obviously, with our fellow that also regenerates MP for us at a 45-second rate intervals as well. So it's just getting like a double tap of mana replenishment, which is I love it. I use it quite a bit for a lot of my descendants. And then I run this with the skill cooldown. So on hitting an enemy with a skill, we get an additional skill cooldown for 10 seconds. It is on a 25 seconds, so there's a 15-second gap obviously between when we can get this up. But when you have this going and when this goes, it's really nice to see how all those skills have that reduced cooldown and allows you for more spamming of the skills
power
and the power increase, which we'll go over there. The fellow, this is what I was talking about. MP fellow, every 45 seconds, we recoup 16% MP. Alright, for the Descendant modules, I like to run this with the Power Beyond Trigger module. Again, just the global dot, the Blizzard, we're dropping this all the time, so we're getting the stacks. The amorphous phenomenon is spawning, generating increased damage. And again, when the amorphous phenomenon spawns, again, it's additional range, skill power, raw skill power boost ratio, running in double gold. Obviously, that's what you're after. And then I like to synergize it with the Breach Explorer. Again, power beyond to self, on granting the void recharge. Right. Skill effect ranges increase for 15 seconds up to 4 stacks, and while the effect is active, when landing a global dot or round dot type attack skill, adds base skill power boost ratio of 12.5%. So that's really nice. This is a really nice synergy between the two. I do have this as my swing module. So when it comes to the overall modules, again, absolute 0 converts all of her skills to singular, as you can see on the bottom. And again, when it comes to the the buffs that Viessa has gotten, again, the ice spheres, they fly around like they normally do, but they just don't go away. They land, hit on an enemy, deals explosive damage to the enemies. On critical hits, it also inflicts frostbite and causes the ice explosion. And this shit just feels like it's going off non-stop, and it's just decimating the hell out of the enemy. So the burst damage that they buffed this with, as well as the spheres just staying up the whole time, is crazy. And as you can see, we get increased skill critical hit rate increase of 15%, so that puts us over the cap. Additional skill power on Colossus commanders, very low cooldown. This is on critical hits, right, to the trigger condition. So again, we have a high critical hit rate, so this is not an issue. This thing is just up the entire time, destroying enemies. These ice spheres are huge. Love it. Blizzard is standard. Again, we're just able to drop this at a very low cooldown. Again, it's at 15-second cooldown. It feels like it comes back a lot earlier. Again, with our Inversion Reinforcement, know that we're getting land a hit. The skill cooldown is an additional 24% lower than what it's showing here. So I'm able to kind of spam this, as well as all my other skills that are going into this. It's just non-stop skill spamming to just eliminate the enemies on the field. And again, right, everything's inflicting frostbite, very low cooldown, especially when it comes to our frost shards. This thing's just warming and just getting prepping everybody for the destruction that it's laying out. So all of these are fantastic modules. Obviously the frost road is just running through enemies, dealing damage to them as we're running by them, generating critical hits, keeping the orbs up. The synergies are just insane. Cold Snap, as always, just lays down a huge damage dealing swath of ice. Fantastic, just fantastic buffs. And again, it's really just those ice spheres and the burst AoE that's happening when we're generating critical hits and it's destroying the enemies. That's what's just melting everybody out on the field. When it comes to the overall modules, outside of the triggers and obviously the synergizing of the skills to singular, going over the update when it comes to the absolute 0. We got our cooldowns in here, so we want the nimble fingers and the MP conversions. We run this with our skill critical hit damage, skill critical hit rate, so skill insight, skill concentration, and emergency measures. We don't need front lines. For the build now, for the additional skill critical hit damage and rate, we're already capped out. But again, that's just another option. You can put it in there for the Breach Explorer. But again, our rate is already up there. You're kind of just putting it on there just for a little bit of increased skill critical hit damage. I opted for range, and like I went over, the base power boost ratio. But again, that's your swing module there. You could put front lines in there, and then, you know, this would immediately be at 100%, even though we're going to get there. Again, showing you the passive ability of the ice spheres, because, you know, on the critical hit, you know, you get the bonus, and I'll flip back to it, and then we're at, you know, 654%. Again, within here, right, we get the skill critical hit rate increase of 15%. So it's kind of like you're kind of wasting a module. Again, you can put it in there if you want, front lines in for Breach Explorer, or anything that you want that you feel that you might be needing to, you know, fix your build. Breach Explorer is my swing module slot. Those are the crit damage that we're running. Again, range is huge. We got the range module in there. Skill cost, again, we got skill cost reduction in our, or skill cost increase in our external component, the Slayer set. So we're trying to offset that as much as possible. Maximized conservation is the way we get that. You know, obviously that skill power modifier reduction. That's why you're seeing the skill power just, you know, down that 20% there, but you don't, you know, you're not going to feel that, and the skill cost allows you to skill spam. So it's worth the trade-off on that one. But again, you can put in strong mentality if you didn't want the skill power modifier to come down, but I feel like you'll struggle with the skill spamming and the amount of mana, you know, your mana, you know, your regulation when you're trying to run through these levels as quick as possible. We have this also coupled with the focus on chill. Again, nice to have a little bit more skill cooldown, and obviously all of our skills are chill, and we're just getting the it's not a modifier, so it's a boost power ratio, so you get a lot more out of it than as opposed to running this with the, you know, the focus on singular. And again, you could put that on there if you want to in the Breach Explorer slot. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. You would reduce your skill cooldown as well. It's just the base skill power boost ratio I felt was more, and again, the range are all things that they both benefited Viessa, as opposed to just taking care of a, you know, small portion of one to the other. But again, that's another option. Front lines, focus on singular, power increase, all options if you guys wanted to slot into that particular area of your build, if, you know, if it suits you better than it suits me. So our Ancestor module, skill critical hit damage, skill critical hit rate, max HP, all great. The tech doesn't matter, so that's, you know, it's all good for us to have that on there. Not a single one of our skills is tech related when it comes to this. We obviously want these in purple. You know, it'd be nice to have the, you know, the skill critical damage and the rate in both gold. So there's gains to be had within this build. But it's more to try and get more damage out of it. So again, our skill critical hit rate in gold will put us over the cap, and then we can, you know, maybe work out some other types of module, you know, some other modules. Like this is on the bubble when we start to look at this, and then for sure you can start putting another focus in there. You know, you just get more options to generate more module slots or different ways to build out your descendant. With the Ancestor modules, you know, at the top is, you know, at the highest rarity that they can be. So golds and reds are what we're after. Purples are nice. Definitely gains to be had within my Ancestor module there, and I keep trying to get some, but it's you know, it's hit or miss on what you're able to get out of them. So now when it comes to the weapons, I run this as a two-piece combo. So the Frostwatcher, I'll whip this sucker out when I'm fighting, you know, the bosses at the end, because if I just land a critical hit or a weak point, I'm getting additional, you know, the enemy's getting reduced chill power, you know, a decreased in chill, you know, and their chill resistance. I run the Clairvoyance because it's got triple speeds on it. You can run it with the singular too, because having a singular up actually is a purification. It's really up to you. But I have these both in the back pocket just because a stage 3 beam as well has chill resistance reductions in it. But I run this for the speed. When I'm fighting bosses, you'll see me whip out the Frostwatcher just because of the, you know, landing a couple of shots on this will just generate me more chill skill power. So again, you can see I got the triple speed, some chill, some fire rate on the cores, you know, firearm attack, firearm critical rate, chill, firearm critical hit damage. Oh. And again, it's just more to just keep my, you know, get the beam up to level 3 as fast as possible. So I'll just show it. I'm not really going to go over this too much. This is one of my favorite modules though, because it reduces defense the longer you hold it. So we're firing the beam, we're trying to get it up, and we're reducing their defense at the same time. Really love the super cooled plasma. Again, you want your reload times down, and you saw some recycling geniuses in there. Recycling genius. But it's really this to have this in the back pocket. So again, hitting stage 3, beam inflicts void gaze, you know, and then it starts spiraling into other things that it, you know, triggers as we're able to keep the beam up. But as you can see, the chill resistance when we're able to trigger 10 seconds at a reduce 40% chill resistance, which is, you know, which is absolutely huge. But you get the most out of your damage when it comes to the Frost Watcher. So again, at a certain distance, which is 12.5 meters, you know, landing a critical hit, and then weak point. As you can see there, this is what triggers the cold surveillance and the chill synchronization. And the reason why we want this is, again, chill resistance per stack on the cold, cold surveillance. Again, max stacks is 3. Chill resistance per stack is you know, a reduction in their chill resistance by, you know, 15%, and then we get the base 10% on that as well. So there's some really nice chill resistance reductions that get applied to the enemy, just again by hitting a critical hit. And then when we land the weak point, we get the sub-zero sensation. So once we land that weak point, again, 12.5 meters, it's not very far, so you don't have to feel like you have to be miles away to do it. You just got to be a little bit away, and you'll be able to get this to proc. You'll see it proc on the thing. And again, you get additional chill skill power boost ratio at 32%, which is huge. Again, it procs at a 30% chance. This one is 100% when you hit the critical hit rate, 30% for the weak point. But when this triggers, boom, 7 seconds with a you know, increased chill skill power boost ratio, which couples nice with our focus on chill that we had on our Descendant module. You know, really nicely. So you'll see me flip flop between my Frost Watcher and my Clairvoyance. They're both really good at reducing chill resistance to bosses, but the Frost Watcher's just got a little bit more damage output to it when you hit the skill, when you hit your critical hit or weak point on that enemy, which is not hard to do. So when it comes to that, we built obviously our weapon around skill critical to get our our critical hit rate, and we don't really need to have the weak point damage. We just got to hit the weak point. So that's all that matters. Again, reload times will come down. I don't have it fully kitted out, but it doesn't really matter because, again, it's the passive abilities that we want. We're respecting the chill, again, fire rate, you know, the reload time focus. I will probably put, you know, a weak point damage in there, but I might just put another chill slot in there as well, just to make it a chill gun. So this is the modules as you see them. Still kind of working through the build of it, and again, that empty slot is probably, I'm probably just going to put a, you know, another chill slotting into that, just to make it a full chill weapon. Yeah, the chill enhancement, just because I don't like the other one, because it has a reload time increase, chill priority. You get more chill out of it, but the reload times are kind of crazy. I might do it because I have I like the quick reload times firing off. But yeah, that's the build in general. Again, really fun to use. I mean, obviously, there's lots of options within the builds now, especially when you're rocking certain Ancestor modules. I love the buffs. She's so good. The clear time is insane on this Legion's Laboratory run, and she just destroys all end game content right now. GG's.